I'm okay. I'm totally fine.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Topic Tuesday. Today's topic is part 2 of the wider topic of concept to comic book. The second part is getting from writing to thumbnails. For those of you who don't know what thumbnails are, they are the brief description in physical format of what is coming to happen. The general layout of each page, or in some cases for an artistic single images, they are just basically the general idea of design and layout. What you're watching right now is basically how I go from, in this case, the script or the story version of what I wrote last time and turning it into a coherent story. I'm swapping between red and blue here because I'm picking out small sections of the story that will work with what I want to show. Sometimes I have to go through the story to figure out what there is. So it's always good to go through the scene in its entirety so you have a good mental image of where it's going, what's going to happen, and the general overview of what's happening. The difference between story and script can vary on the outlook, but it always comes down to how you can visualize it. Me, I have a lot of experience from my time at college studying film and television production, where I wrote a lot of scripts, turned them into storyboards, but I also learned about filmmaking and how the shots work. If you can visualize the story from a read-through, then you're part the way there already. But it's not always as simple as, oh, I can see it in my head and put it down, as anybody who's tried art can tell you. But what I do recommend is reading books on camera work and framing. That can help you visualize, get something on the wall that gives you all of the shots, what kind of things like close-up, mid-shots, extreme long shots, those kind of things. Watch movies, that's a good thing. Look and dissect comic books, and they will give you a good idea of how to produce your own. With much of it, as I do it, it is kind of guessing. I don't always jot down anything that I'd like to do with the story. I just simply kind of go through my head, and sometimes I don't have a script there. Sometimes it just comes straight from my head, okay, this is what I want visually, and I write the dialogue afterwards. But again, this comes to how you prefer to do it. This is an easy way, a good guide. By marking off small sections, you can see, okay, I want this there. You can have, say, okay, this is a frame, and such. As you will notice, that it took 7 pages of comic book to do 1 page or page and a bit of story. While with the script, it might take a bit less because there's a lot more there. You can add frames, take away frames, things such that say, oh, he thinks about something, but he doesn't have any dialogue. You can add to the story, adding dialogue. The hardest part of doing the thumbnails and finding out how it all works together is picking the frames, and I still get problems with that. Sometimes action scenes require a more dynamic shot, or you may need less frames on a page to have more action shown. Like on page 3, I only had 3 panels because it was a small amount of action, then a bunch of arrows coming in, and then a charge past the main character. In the end, it comes down to an interpretation of the story that you are given. If you write it yourself, you've probably got half the story in your head anyway, how it looks, how it will sound, what you want to do with it. It's already there as you write the story. So when you come to make the comic book, you already have an idea. But if you haven't, and you're writing somebody else's, then you've got to revisualize. This is why I say you have to go through the whole story and get some ideas, because there are things that are often described later in a scene that you think about earlier in the scene. Like at the end of this scene, it does say that it is a bright day, but that's at the end. I don't know that at the beginning. Bad writing on my part, I agree. But it does help me know that it does clear up, because sometimes the scene might start with rainy weather, and then by the end of it, it's actually cleared up. So you've got to know that this has to be there, and it will work into the comic, and you've got to work that in. Next up we have the script format. Now, there is no difference in how I do it. The script format tends to be a lot easier to understand. That is pretty much the only difference. But as you can see, it always does make a difference when it comes to thinking, because it gives more description of what's happening around. So it kind of makes me, when it comes to the opening shot at least, make it different. But at the end of the day, it does come down to how you interpret. Scripts can, in fact, give a better understanding of what you want to do visually than a story can. It all depends on how and what you work best with. As you will notice as I go through it, the first page compared to the first page of the story is completely different. It's the exact same story, but because of the different ways it was written, it does give me mentally a different vision of what to draw. On top of that, the final thing I can say is have a spare piece of paper next to you. As you go through the script or the story, whichever format you choose, jot notes on this plain piece of paper, whether it be just writing a few things like add dialogue here, or doing little sketches of the characters as you see them in that current moment, or even the layouts of the scene, where it's like the battlefield, how it's laid out so you know where the cameras, or the mind's eye as it were, will go. But that is all for part 2. Next time we will talk about how designs come up and how you can use them from the story or just from your imagination. You just got to work with it, and then how to set them up, and then we go on to actual comic design. But as always, that's just my thought on the matter, and if you would like to leave your own thoughts and questions on this topic, or if you would just simply want to say hello or anything else, and if you enjoyed this video, comment below. You can also find me on social media. All links are below in the description. If you liked the video, please leave a like by hitting that thumbs up. And if you would like to keep up to date on when I post a video, then feel free to hit that subscribe button. But for now, thank you for watching and enjoy your day.